I wasn't seeing disabled people in a climbing gym, and if I wanted to be seeing that kind of representation, then maybe it was down to me to be that representation. My name's Mary, I'm from Wiltshire. I've been climbing on and off for about 6-7 years probably. I was born with a disability called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which in short means that the glue that holds my body together just is a bit rubbish, so it affects my joints, they dislocate a lot, and my digestive system and stuff like that. So I found climbing as a teenager and I loved it. When I reached kind of the age 15, 16, my disability was really starting to affect me, and it came to a point where my doctors were like, you've got to stop, this is way too dangerous. And that broke my heart, because I loved it. So for the next few years I just kind of tried to deal with that, but I always had that kind of in the back of my mind that I really wanted to climb again. And then probably about 5 years later, I came across a new doctor and a new medical team, and they asked what I wanted to do, and I was like, what I really want to do is climb again. So they said, we don't really know if this is possible, but we'll give it a shot. So for the next year I had a load of intensive therapy. Yeah, about 6 years later, after stopping climbing, I started climbing again, and haven't really looked back since. Coming into climbing again, this time as a disabled climber, was a totally new experience to me, and I found it really intimidating because I had to adapt how I climbed to suit my body. That meant, belaying from a wheelchair or having rest to relocate joints after climbs. I had to do things differently. And when I was in a gym surrounded by people that seemed so fit and healthy, that really intimidated me. And so for a while I was kind of hesitant, is this the right sport for me? I don't really know, do I really fit in here? But that love I had for it was just too strong for me to quit. And I'd fought so hard to get to that point. I was like, I'm gonna do this. And I suppose I started to realise I wasn't seeing disabled people in a climbing gym, and if I wanted to be seeing that kind of representation, then maybe it was down to me to be that representation. And so since then I've been on a bit of a mission to kind of blow the myth that disability and climbing don't go together, because they absolutely do, and in fact when they're together it's beautiful. I think for me that feeling of achievement by doing even the simplest climbs has stayed with me. Just turning up and getting on the wall for me is a win, because I've had to really work to get to that point. So hands down the best experience through climbing has been meeting people and the community. The paraclimbing community is just the most inclusive, beautiful place, and I've met some incredible friends who have a whole range of disabilities, and I think watching other disabled climbers climb is so wonderful, because you can see how everyone's body works differently, and the creativity that people have to be able to adapt climbs to suit them. I just love experiencing that. So I had a few experiences going to climbing centres where I'd turn up and I would be really excited to go, and then I'd find when I got there that it wasn't accessible, either there were loads of steps and no lifts and things like that. I started to realise that very few climbing centres put accessibility information on their website or on their social media. And I think a lot of that is because there isn't that natural association between disabled people and climbing, when actually they go together really well. And I was getting kind of frustrated because I was having these experiences and not being able to access different centres, but crucially not knowing until I got there that it wasn't accessible. And I was chatting to one of my friends saying oh, I wish there was a place where you could go and they would just list the access information so I knew beforehand. And my friend was like, well, why don't you make it? And I was like, okay, fine. And that's kind of how Access to Climb was built. It's a website that is totally community built, so people submit information about their local wall, just really basic stuff are there steps to get into the entrance, and is there an accessible toilet and stuff like that. And it's been great as well having other walls, since I've started that, other climbing centres be can we get involved in this, or how can we be more accessible, because ultimately it's just making climbing kind of more inclusive for everyone to get involved with. I love coming to the Arc. I mean, firstly, it's just down the road from me, so it's perfect to come to. I love their heart for inclusion, that it matters to them that it is inclusive. That they've got a lift, they've got accessible toilets, they've got disabled parking. So that the heart of that I really love. But also it's just a great centre. There's great routes, there's bouldering, auto belays, whatever you're in the mood for. It's really nice. Physically, I'm so much stronger since climbing, so much. My joints are able to withstand so much more before they dislocate, which is incredible. From a physiotherapy point of view, it's been incredible. So I guess advice I'd give to the climbing community, and in particular paraclimbers or disabled people that want to get into climbing is, like, I've come to realise, like, paraclimbers have such a place in climbing centres. We are just as worthy as being called climbers as anybody else. So don't stress if you need to do one route and then sit and lie down on the floor for 20 minutes. Like, it doesn't matter. Don't stress if you can only do certain routes in the centre. It doesn't matter. Just turn up, and that's the most important thing you can do.